Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. This is Red Berry Wheel here, and in today's video, we are shining some shoes. So, I will be going over how to turn these dirty, brand new low quarters, they're leather low quarters, into some pretty shiny ones. And hopefully, you can follow this quick video step by step on how I prepare my shoes. If you haven't shined shoes before, it's not too difficult. It's relatively simple. However, there are some do's and don'ts. If you have the super shiny shoes, and these are already a little shiny, but if you have the ones that are like super duper shiny because they're made that way, they're called core frames, do not put shoe polish on them. It ruins the shoes. Additionally, if you scuff them, they're kind of ruined, which is why I personally recommend investing in getting leather ones, because the leather ones will, one, last longer, and two, if you scuff these, it's not the end of the shoe. If you scuff the core frames, then that surface is essentially ruined for the rest of the life of the shoe. So invest in some of these. I had a pair for, wait, no, let me get my old shoes. 1 second. I have had these bad boys for at least 5 years. I wore them through a Corps of Cadets program. I wore them through multiple encampments, and they have lasted me all that time. And like the bottoms are very, very worn, and the heels are very, very worn. They're very well loved. I love those little quarters. And now I have a new pair because look how this actually has a sole. If you compare, this used to be new. It's not anymore. So they're both long wearing, and they're Bates brand. So if you do get shoes like these, I recommend getting gel insoles because you're going to probably be standing in like a pass and review in them, and it would be very painful to not have those. These inserts, they're fine, but they don't provide much support, and they don't feel as good on your feet. So invest in getting the leather Bates low quarters and get like a Dr. Scholl's gel insert for them to be ultra comfy for your shoe experience. Now, as you can see on my shoe, there is a layer of dust. There's a layer of dust because I have refused to wear these because I just love my other shoes so much. So some of the things that you will be needing for your shoes today is a cup of warm water or hot water. You can put hot water in it. And what you're going to be doing is you're going to be dipping in the cloth into the water. You're going to be adding some polish to it and then rubbing it onto the shoe, and I'll be going over that later. A brush. You can get a small brush like this one or a big brush, but the primary purpose I use them is to get the dirt off of the shoe or the dust off the shoe. If you put the brush into polish, you can't really use that brush to clean off dirt anymore because it'll have old flecks of polish on it, and it will start to actually rub off onto the shoe and ruin the surface a little bit. So I like using a bigger brush because I can just do big motions along the side of the shoe. You can also use an old toothbrush to get into the nitty-gritty parts of the shoe, so like the edges right here. If I wanted to clean those edges a little bit more, then I could just scrub it with a toothbrush. Sometimes your shoes will get muddy, and those are always super helpful. Just use old toothbrush and not the one you were actively using, please, because that would be disgusting. You'll also need a buffing cloth. I have a buffing cloth right here that is very, very well used. Typically it comes with a shoe shine kit, so if you get a shoe shine kit, then it'll have that kind of cloth in it. It typically needs to be like a super soft fabric that won't scratch the surface. So just make sure whenever you're using a cloth, it's not going to scratch the surface up too much. Also, I want to show my old sock for putting the polish onto the shoes. This is an old sock, but I cut a hole in it because it's supposed to be a rag, and you will need some old rags. So I have a shirt rag right here. It is made of a cotton shirt, and so that should be pretty good with using on our surface. And there's also a nice little bag of cotton balls here. We're going to be using at least using one cotton ball today, so I'm going to leave these cotton balls to the side. But you will need black shoe polish. Now, there's also something called parade gloss, and you can use it, but it's cheating. It's cheating. And I have it because, well, I used it a little bit here and there for, like, inspections, but a few things, the differences between this is that you can really build on top of normal polish, and you can build layer upon layer upon layer, which makes the shoe shinier and shinier as you go over the process. And then parade gloss is kind of like the cheating version where you can put one layer down and be done, but you can't really build on top of it very well, and it comes off faster, and it almost sometimes gets this like fuzzy layer, which can kind of be annoying to deal with when you're shining shoes. So I personally don't use this. I used to use it a little bit, but now I don't use it anymore because just the fact that I want to be able to use my shoes and just do a quick like layer of polish on them. The parade gloss is not good for that. So go ahead and make sure you have black shoe polish for your black shoes. There are different colors out there. There's sometimes white, there's sometimes brown. Get the black stuff for your black shoes, please. So I think that about summarizes everything that I need. If you want to use old rags for shining your shoes with the initial layers, that's fine. But when you get to the top layers of like when you're doing the final buffs of your shoe, use the cotton ball because the cotton ball is a lot softer on the surface and it won't scratch it. So what I'm first going to do is I'm going to take my shoe and I am going to rub off the dust. And if you have been using your shoe, oh, there's a lot of dust. Ugh. Lots of dust. As you rub your shoe, you want to try to go front to back, forward to back in the same direction, because when you are shining your shoe, you will be doing tiny little circles, and we'll go over that soon. But you can see now there's dust in the air, and the dust is off of my shoe, and now it's on the camera screen. Oh my gosh, it's everywhere. Oh gosh, there's a lot of dust everywhere. Okay, so we have cleaned off our one shoe. Look at the before. Yay, lots of dirt. And the after, okay? So this shoe can definitely get a lot more shiny. And if you have a brand new pair of shoes, go ahead and take the laces off. And the reason why I say that is because you want to try to shine the tongue of the shoe before it's like laced up and everything, because it's relatively hard to shine that portion of the shoe. The portion I'm talking about is like right about here. And it doesn't necessarily need a lot of attention after the first time because that's where the laces are and it's hard to see. But just make sure that all of the dust is off of the shoe or the dirt is off the shoe before you start shining. The reason for that is if you have dirt mixing with your polish, then it can create lumps and that looks really bad. So you don't want lumpy shoes. No lumpy shoes. I'm moving my cable because it's in the way. Okay, so next step, you're going to take your cup and you're going to take the polish. I have a bigger polish right here. I'm going to be using that one because I like it. And sometimes you can get a really clumpy surface like this. It's okay if it cracks or if it's clumpy. That's not a huge issue. But it does become an issue when it's too dried out to actually do anything with. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take 2 fingers and wrap my hand with the cloth, and I'm going to hold it down with my other fingers to make sure it's tight. I'm going to stick it in the water, the warm water that you have, and then do small circles in here with the polish, okay? So you should have polish on your cloth. You can't really see it. Wait, can you? Hello? Yeah. There we go. You can kind of see that. Hello. Yeah, it autofocused. Good. Okay, so after you have that polish on your shoe, you're going to take the shoe and you're going to start from the front of the shoe and make small circular motions at the front. Okay? So I'm going to continue doing my little small circles and I'm just going to kind of like smear it across the top of the shoe. At this point, it looks like our shoe is just getting to be this weird dull color. Or not this weird dull color, but it looks dull. And the reason why it looks dull is because the polish needs to be worked into the leather. So you're just going to continue to make small circles. And as you make small circles, make sure you're covering the entire toe of the shoe. I'm going to work up the tongue of the shoe just a little bit to add some polish there. But we're going to continue to make those small circles and push down. You're going to push down on that surface and continue doing it until you don't see like the pattern of the tiny circles anymore. So this is going to be a bit of a process. I could keep talking as I do this, and you know what? I just might do that. This is just going to be the shoe polishing session of the century with good old Red Berry Wheel. How about that? I have a little bit of extra on the front of my shoe, so I'm going to do a little bit in this area and continue to do my small circles. Make sure you're doing small circles. The reason why we wouldn't want to do straight lines is because it doesn't really go evenly on the surface, and we want it to just look like one flat shiny surface and not lines. So if you like think of wood and how it's kind of grainy with the lines from the tree, we want to make sure our shoe does not have those kind of lines. You might ask me, why aren't we putting more polish onto our cloth yet? I have been rubbing so many circles on here. If it still looks dull, and it looks like there's still like patterns and residue of the polish on the shoe, that means you still need to rub in more. So I typically do one layer across the entire shoe of just like pushing in that nice polish into the surface. And I do that all the way around the shoe once, and then I'll do it all the way around the shoe twice, 3 times, 4 times, 5 times, at least, if this is the first time the shoe is being polished. Typically with inspections, they only really look at the toes, but if you really want to be high speed, you want to be a high speed shoe shiner, you should do the entire shoe. Always do the entire shoe, and if you really want to impress them, make sure you really focus on the inside and the outside of the shoe, and especially where there might be scuff marks, because people clap their internal ball of the foot together sometimes, or the back of the foot. Just by having that super polished and ready to go, then the inspectors, whoever they may be, whether it be a flight sergeant or a flight commander, can be really impressed with the work that you're doing. So you can also get a sense by how your cloth feels if the polish is gone or not. Typically, you can see that the cloth here is discolored, but there isn't any like clumps of shoe polish on it. It's all off of the cloth and in the shoe. And there might be a splotch or two where like the toe is, but that's because I didn't push down hard enough. So I'm just gonna keep doing my little circles. I could tell you guys a story about shoe shining. I could do that. You want a story? You want story time with Red Berry Wheel as we shine our shoes? Story time with Red Berry Wheel. Yeah, so there's this time where I was once told that I should do fire shining. Fire shining is essentially where you try to light your shoes on fire by adding heat to the polish as you are polishing the shoe. And honestly, that kind of scares me, because why would you light your shoes on fire? So I had a bud when I was in the Corps. A bud is someone else who's in the same class year as you, who goes through like freshman year and stuff with you. I had a bud once who tried to fire shine their shoes, and they did not do it correctly, and it ended up basically ruining the shoe by making these huge creases that were there were already creases where the toes were. Like you develop creases right here on the shoe typically from walking and your foot just bending in general. But they ruined their shoes, and the polish had to be completely redone. And it's very, very difficult to do that. It sucks. You have to strip off the polish and just like start from scratch. And that is honestly really terrible. So I would not recommend fire shining unless you genuinely know how to do it and you have been properly taught. So I'm almost done. I haven't quite finished, but as you can see here, it's starting to be a little bit more shiny. I think my window makes it look shinier than it actually is. But a good test to see if you have actually properly shined your shoe is if you have a room with light bulbs and like a lamp, then hold the shoe flat and look at the surface. See if you can see the actual shape of the light bulbs, or like the shape of whatever object it is that is illuminating the room, and then go from there. Like, you should be able to see the details of the blinds right over here if this was actually shined correctly. And it's not at that point yet. If you look here on this shoe, I'm just going to buff that a little bit, you can see better like the details of the window where there's light and where there's dark. And then you can also kind of see me. Hello. Wait. Aha, you can see my arm. You can see the detail of my arm in these shoes. And they're very shiny. So, we're going to continue working on our shoe. Do you guys have any fun stories? You want to share some fun stories in the comment section of you and your shoes? You want us to share the stories? Swiveling. Okay, so I've finished the front part of the shoe, but now you know what that means. It means I need to dip it in water. Dipped it in water. I'm gonna do my little circles in the polish again. We got some on our cloth, and work on the rest of the shoe. So I'm gonna work on the back and work my way forward along the side. So starting in the back, working my way down the side. You have to do small circles though, guys. Do those small circles and just rub, 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 rub. Rub, 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 rub. And one thing I did forget was to put down newspaper where you are in case little clumps of polish come off. And I have polish on me. Oh no. Ay, ay, ay. Okay, well, polish gets really messy, so just make sure you do it over newspaper. Like me, yes. Okay, cool. So I'm gonna buff, 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 buff. Well, not buff. Rub, 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 rub. Let's see, are there any other fun stories I could tell? Man, this stuff makes my nose itchy. Let's see. Could tell another fun story. So I'm gonna give you some cap advice. If you've seen my cap videos, cool. If you haven't, you should check them out. They're really good. Or at least I've been told they're really good. I think they're a helpful resource for people, and I am glad people have been slowly finding the channel. I am very happy with that. And as we grow, we as a cap community can thrive. So I've finished this side of the shoe. You can see it's a little bit shinier than this shoe. Wait. Well, like specifically how the polish looks. This is a duller shine, and then this is a brighter shine. Woo! You know what? That should be my thumbnail. I'm gonna be like, cool. Okay, so now that we have finished that side of the shoe, I'm gonna reset my cloth and put it back on my fingers because I itched my nose a little bit with the back of my arm. Okay, we got it on our 2 fingers. Put it in the water. Put it in the polish. Do a tiny little circle. Get it on the tip. And now we're gonna work on the inside part of the shoe. I got up to this crease in the back, but I didn't get the front part of that. So I'm gonna go ahead and circle, 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 circle. Once we have the polish on the shoe though, you need to be careful not to be rough with it and not to ruin that first layer of polish, because the first layer, believe it or not, is very important to shoe shining. So just make sure you take care of that. We got our back being rubbed. Rub, 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 rub. And we want to make sure that you can't really see the pattern of the polish. So right now, you can kind of see like those circles of the polish. If you've done it correctly, you should not see those circles anymore. So just make sure you get it all the way in. Sorry if I hit the microphone. Whoopsie doops. Hey, I never thought I would be doing a polishing video, but you know, here we are. Here we are, guys. We've made a lot of progress. I am very happy with it. Just keep doing your circles, guys. Don't worry. Keep doing your circles. So, I'll tell you guys a little bit about Warbotics and how things went with that. Warbotics is still out on itch if you are interested in playing. It is a nice twin stick shooter co-op game where you can play with your friends, and you can play as a human or you can play as a botic, and then you face off against each other to try to defeat the other faction. And then once the faction has gotten to either the human bunker or the factory, you destroy their stronghold and win the game. So hey, that's pretty fun, right? Yeah. So if you're interested in playing that, I created a trailer, the team created a trailer. It was made by Sergio. and all of the information about my teammates are on that video. And we're really proud of it. We were very happy with the product that we made. So I hope you guys get a chance to enjoy it if you have not seen it yet or not. Okay, so right now I have one full layer of polish on my shoe. And you know what that means. We move on to our next layer. So I'm going to move the cloth a little bit just so that I have a fresh piece that's not wet or polished yet. Dip it in the water. Whoops! Dip it in the water. Don't get too much water. And dip it in the polish. In that little circular motion. We got some on our cloth. And we start back at the toe again. So that it was a fun project. I'm also kind of glad that we finished it. We're not doing any more updates to the game. So if it is broken, I am sorry. There were a few little things that weren't working as intended. But we did our best. And our lead programmer, Alexander, did a fantastic job with the game and programming all of the mechanics. So that was an interesting experience. And if you guys ever work on video games, hey, I would love to hear more about your games. I think Keith had sent a link to a game jam that she worked on once, and I was thinking of playing that game on the channel, but I have not yet because I forgot about it until I just said that. So I will definitely be trying to get to that. There was also a reaction video that Running Gamer had suggested to me, like I received a couple of links from him, and I would like to react to them, and I probably will watch those videos. My concern is just making content based off of other people's YouTube videos and then getting credit for it and not being original enough with the commentary on it, because I believe that works should always be transformative before you post them for like YouTube content. And like when people review memes, it's like reviewing other people's creations and then reacting to them and like contributing their individual thoughts. So I think like that's okay. But when it comes to like someone else's edited down YouTube video, I feel a little iffy with that, just because like I don't have their permission and I want to make sure that they're fairly recognized by like people just watching their videos themselves and without me receiving credit for the views that could be going to their channel but are instead going to my channel. So that's just my thought. But I have completed that side layer. Well, I did the front and the side because I had too much polish on my cloth. But really, really make sure that you're getting in those crevices of the shoe and you're doing it in circles. If you do straight lines, it will either remove polish or create streaks. So just keep on doing those circles. So if we look at our shoe and how it's shiny now, you can see more in the details in my window versus this one, which looks dull and crappy because I have not worked on it yet. And I will be working on that at some point in the future. But I'm going to continue going around my shoe. Move on my cloth. Got it on the 2 fingers. Go into the water. Go into the polish. Yummy. Don't eat the polish. I say yummy sarcastically. Please don't eat it. Okay. And we're just going to do our little circles again. Over the newspaper. Over the newspaper. Circle, circle, circle. I didn't get enough polish that time because I was too busy. So if you have too much polish on your cloth, it actually can result in clumpage. And it takes forever to get into the leather. Forever, I tell you. So save yourself some time and don't get too much. If you get too little, you can always add, but you can't subtract. Just keep that in mind. Circle, circle, circle. Rub, 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 rub. So if you've made it this far in the video, you're clearly invested in shining your shoes. And I appreciate you making it this far. Did you know that the retention rate on most of my videos averages at about 3%? 3%. Like, some people watch 75% of the video, and then when I start saying the stuff for the end of the video, they click off. And a lot of people, they just, like, click on to the video, and then they're like, you know what? I don't like how high-pitched her voice is. Or, I don't like the content. This is not interesting to me. And then they click off. And in YouTube's analytics, that is not good. Which means content is not promoted as frequently on the algorithm. Which is kind of a bummer. But I think people are loving the channel if they want to be here. And if you want to be here, then I want you to be here. And if you don't want to be here, then leave. If you're going to be a negative Nelly, leave. You know, we are here for positivity. We're here to support each other. We're here to shine shoes together. And that's what matters. That is what matters. So we're making good progress on the shoe. You should be able to see a nice film showing up. If you're following my technique. If you're not following my technique and you're fire shining your shoe, then I don't know what's gonna happen to your shoe, but I don't know if it's gonna be very pretty. But that is 2 layers. This is all 2 layers versus nothing. Yay! We have made progress, ladies and gentlemen. So I think I will continue to shine my shoes, but not on the camera. So if you have any questions for me about how to shine your low quarters, please feel free to leave them in the comments down below. I hope you enjoyed this. I know it was a little bit longer of a video of just me chatting and shining shoes with you, but oh no, hey, I didn't do the cotton ball part. Should I do the cotton ball part? Guys, if you want the shoe shining part 2, you let me know. If one person leaves a comment saying, do shoe shine part 2, where I explain how to make your shoes extra super duper shiny, then I'll do it. But for now, this is where I'm going to leave the video. So thank you so much for watching, and that is all, folks. Until next time, toodles.